evening, October. We'll be speaking on Haiti's economic and political crisis, and is Jamaica knocking behind Haiti's back door? My guests are Wilfred Radigan, former FBI agent, Rene Labrouste, former United States Foreign Service officer, Dr. David Mohammed, Eastern Caribbean representative of the Nation of Islam, Jackie Harris, former corporal of the Jamaica Defense Force, Herbert Nelson Jr., chairman of the Crime Security Committee Group Institute of Caribbean Studies in Washington, D.C. We'll be live on social media. Make We Talk Jeffrey Tavares YouTube channel. That's this Tuesday evening.
Remember your teachers, them now. Remember your nurses, them now.
Welcome to Make We Talk here on Roots 96.1 FM. Wherever you're listening, watching from around the world in the Eastern Caribbean, this is Make We Talk. This morning we're going to speak to Dr. Kevin Brown. He is the Lord have mercy. He is the United Kingdom North Representative Global Jamaican Diaspora. We're going to speak about the corruption and Jamaica's crime pandemic. My studio, Owen Brown played the wrong video clipping. It is supposed to be this evening. I send you the one for this morning, but poor Owen is so busy, he don't even realize what he's doing. Owen, you played the wrong thing, my friend, but it's okay. Yeah, this morning. Yeah. Yes, Obi. Thanks for the little highlight that they're gonna happen this evening. This evening we're gonna have Dudley Thompson coming on to speak about Haiti's crime situation and other guests. But this morning we're gonna speak about Jamaica's crime pandemic and the corruption that plague our country. What does members of the diaspora think about what is going on in Jamaica? We have this morning Dr. Kevin Brown, North Representative, Global Jamaican Diaspora Council. Dr. Brown, unmute your mic for me, sir, and welcome back to Make We Talk.
Hi, good morning for you, Jeffrey. It's good evening for me in the UK. Good to be back on your show.
Yes. What does Jamaicans think about what is going on in this country? Last night, I sent you a clipping of what went on in Halfway Tree last night. And, you know, the brutal rampant killing of both police officers and citizens. And yet you have President of the Senate, Thomas Tavares Finson. I'm not saying he mustn't condemn what is going on within the police force, but Mr. Tavares Finson, he must condemn the brutal killing of Jamaican citizens too, who are not law enforcement officers, or some of them who don't have any gun, or have police protecting you, Mr. Tavares Finson. What is your views on what is going on in Jamaica, sir?
Well, Jeffrey, there's a lot of concern within the diaspora as it relates to crime and violence on the island. Many of us have family and friends there. Many of us travel to Jamaica from time to time. And many of us also have the aspiration to return one day to live there permanently.
Yes.
So crime and violence is of serious concern to those of us who live overseas. Clearly, Jamaica has a serious problem that has gone unabated for several years now. A few weeks ago, we heard Ed Bartlett ask for prayers for Dr. Chang, who is the National Security Minister, as it relates to fighting crime. And several years ago, we had the same call for divine intervention by the then National Security Minister, Peter Bunting.
Yes.
So it tells me that our politicians clearly haven't got a strategy that is working, and perhaps they have also accepted that it's beyond them now to quash this crime challenge that we have. The main thing politically is that crime has to be something for both parties to work together on. There has to be a common strategy, an approach to fighting crime.
Yes.
But what I want to highlight, Jeffrey, is that when although there's a lot of social media videos and also news reports of crime in terms of gang crime and police shootings and so on, the reality is that a significant amount of crime in Jamaica is driven by domestic violence or domestic conflict, right? It's people are being killed by their own relatives. People are being killed by their boyfriends and so on. So what you're finding is that there's actually a significant increase in domestic violence, where people, for whatever reason, have a falling out, and the response is extreme. We've seen cases where people have killed children, have killed grandmothers.
Yes.
And what is hard to understand is what is driving this level of barbarism, where even children are not protected from this violence. So there has been a complete breakdown in the social fabric of the country, and I believe strongly that what we now need to do is to look at what we can do with respect to modifying the education system, so that it's not just about teaching boys and girls maths and English, but actually I think we now need to teach them social skills. We now need to teach them conflict resolution. We also need to support parents as well in terms of parenting skills. And I think the other issue, Jeff, is it's very easy for us to blame the police, blame the politicians. But what are we Jamaicans, what are we doing to reduce crime and corruption in the country? What is the ordinary Jamaican citizen doing to reduce crime and corruption? Are we cooperating with the police? Are we ensuring that when criminals are around, we go and tell the authorities and we report them, rather than hide them and protect them? So I think Jamaica and Jamaicans tend to be quite contradictory in our behaviors. On one hand, we'll say, okay, we want to reduce crime and violence and corruption, but on the other hand, we will engage in illegal activities. And I think Jamaicans have to decide which one is it that we're going to pursue. You saw recently a news clip where the director of public prosecution was talking about the case where this young man was swiftly captured and put before the court because the community cooperated with the police, Jeffrey. The community decided to step forward and to give witness.
But Dr. Brown, I mean, when you sit down and you look into it, a lot of Jamaicans are saying, but why are we paying the politicians if they don't have a crime plan? Why are we paying the politicians if they can't give the police the tool to work with? Because it was brought to my attention on several occasions that the JCF members do not have the tool to work with. They don't have a ballistic vest. They don't have any uniform. The cars are dilapidated. Why is it that I'm not saying that we shouldn't try to fight crime within our community or whatever, but the fact of the matter is, Jamaicans are asking the question, if we elect people, they go on political campaign trail, and they pack us with a bunch of flipping lies by telling us that, hey, I can make a see with the door open. And at the end of the day, they can't. The crime situation is getting out of hand. I mean, a good friend of mine, who's your good friend also, former FBI agent Wilfred Radigan rather, he's in South Africa. And I was speaking to a member of the South African Parliament earlier on, who was saying to me, South Africa have population bigger than Jamaica.
Yes.
But their crime rate is not as high as Jamaica, pertaining to our population.
Yeah, although South Africa has a serious crime problem.
They don't have a serious crime problem because they're kidnapping people and everything, holding for ransom. Yes. We don't get to that part as yet. So, what can we do in the sense of the American government giving Jamaica billions of dollars, millions of US dollars to fight crime. Yet the police officers do not have the tool, Dr. Brown.
Well, what I do know, Jeffrey, is that the current administration has injected perhaps the largest budget allowance for the police in some years. So from a government perspective, there has been attempts to make sure that the police have the appropriate equipment. We've seen the purchase of vehicles. I'm not saying that they have purchased enough of what the police require. We've heard the police commissioner himself say that they don't have enough guns, for example. So clearly there is an issue around equipping the police. So for example, it's not just about guns, but also body cameras, bulletproof vests, as you mentioned, cars that have the appropriate technology and capability to track criminals. But also, one of the things that the government has promised is to modernize the IT capability within the Jamaica Constabulary Force. So what we're expecting is a centralized computer system, a centralized database that will allow officers to be able to, submit the reports much easier, but also to access information on criminals that they have had contact with. So hopefully, gone will be the days, Jeffrey, when you walk into a police station and what you see on the desk is a big, I don't know if you've ever been into a police station and you see these massive...
They have one book big from Negril Point to Moran Point.
Yes.
And if you can't hold on the desk.
Absolutely, right? And so I'm hoping that we will get to the stage, Jeffrey, that when you go into a police station, instead of this massive hardcover book that is currently there, you will see a computer that's connected to a centralized database that will allow officers to be able to access information more readily. We've already seen, for example, changes with respect to ticketing. I believe a few months ago, I saw on the news where they've introduced electronic ticketing. For many years, Jamaicans were being given tickets and everything was paper-based, but now there's an attempt to introduce digital systems.
I am happy you touch on the issue of ticketing, and I'm not taking up for any bus and taxi operators. But you have some out there who are lawless. And not because they are lawless, we can, bring them in and have them, go within confinements of the law. But this is my personal view. This is not the views of the producer or Roots FM. This is Jeffrey Tavares' personal view. I believe that the police, along who is in charge of the traffic department, and I'm switching from one thing to the other because corruption in that too. They will go out there and they stand up at the clock at halfway through with the clock not in the work, and yet we celebrate 60-year-old and the clock now work. And they stand up out there with a book. Piles and piles of book. Targeting the poor, pauperizing bus and taxi drivers of this country. And by the way, you have some so-called presidents who's in charge of Taxis Association. More if we can investigate them because them corrupt. But that's for another program, and I'm coming up with that. And they go out there and they harass the poor bus and taxi drivers. They take off the bus, put them on record, fit. When the state-owned company, JUTC, Dr. Brown, but JUTC is as corrupt as it can ever be. JUTC have some buses on the road. Have you ever seen a chimney? We pay smoke that come out of it? Black smoke, white smoke, red, all kind of smoke. They're saying to the other bus and taxi drivers that their vehicle, you can see in a hit and you can see out a hit. The JUTC, Dr. Brown, has some buses there that have all sort of advertisement penny. They have advertisement of the Holy Hill Zion Church. They have advertisement of Grace Kennedy. They have everything they can have advertisement of. And yet the police hierarchy will never stop a JUTC bus, put them on a record and give them a ticket. But the poor pauperizing bus drivers of this country, they start them every day and they give them ticket. I want to give them ticket. They have to pay how much? $1,000 per record. They can't go down a pound. Forget back the vehicle, they have to pay how much $1,000 to get back the vehicle. And nobody do anything about this. These so-called presidents in this country have some agenda to rip off the poor bus and taxi drivers too, because them is no better than the government. Now tell me something now, Dr. Brown. We must sit down in this country and allow the rampant corruption that is going on within the wrecking company, where the poor pauperizing bus and taxi drivers can't even find money for buy a tire put on a bus, while the JUTC is allowed to drive around with tint and dilapidated vehicles, Mr. Brown.
Well, there are many issues there you've highlighted, Jeffrey. I must say though that the practice of putting adverts on buses is something that I've observed here also in the United Kingdom. I think the key thing that the police are asking is that you must at least be able to see the driver of the vehicle. As you know, in Jamaica, there is a practice of tinting cars and using rather dark tinting. So although the preference would be for the front windows to be lightly tinted so the police can see who's driving, Jamaicans for many years, as far as I can recall, have applied dark tinting to all the windows on their vehicles. And I think it will take a cultural revolution to change that behavior. But what I want to say, Jeffrey, bearing in mind all that you've said around corruption, I go back to the contradictions of Jamaicans. So on one hand, we have a situation where taxi drivers feel that they're being harassed by the police and transport authority. But on the other hand, you have taxi drivers who are also part of the corruption challenge of the country. Firstly, starting with how they obtain their driver's license. We have too many PPP drivers, public passenger drivers, whether of taxis or of buses, who've obtained their driving license through corrupt means. And then the other challenge you have with the same taxi drivers and bus drivers is that they also are prolific at breaking the road rules, whether it's speeding, parking in the wrong places, or just rampant bad behavior on the roads. So I think so I'm not dismissing your very valid points you made earlier. But what I'm saying, Jeffrey, going back to my key theme in this interview is that yes. I think Jamaicans are right to highlight the failings of government and the police force and transport authority and so on. But I think we as a people must also look into ourselves and ask, how are we contributing to some of these problems? It's not, it's not just the police and politicians. Ordinary citizens also now need to step up and look at their own behaviors and ask themselves, why is it, for example, that some Jamaicans feel that it's okay to buy their driver's license? Why can't we go through the process of learning to drive through an official training school and then actually going and sitting the theory exam, sitting the practical exam and passing? And if you fail, try again until you pass. So, I think we also have to look at our moral values more broadly. Dr. Brown, when I hear you say some stuff that is the fact truth, and as I said before, I am not taking up for none of these bus and taxi drivers in this country. Because I know some of them, they are lawless. They're lawless.
You see? Yes. They're very lawless.
On the roads. Yes,
on the roads. But you have a few who are very disciplined. But what is good for the goose is good for the gander. If the government decide to send out members of the JCF traffic department to terrorize, because that's what we call it, terrorize the poor pauperizing bus and taxi drivers. Okay? And when they collect the buses or put them on record, why do they have to pay so much money? That's the question must be asked. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to see if I can get my good friend Willard Hilton from the Transport Authority or Miss Brown to come on and speak to me some more about this.
Mm-hmm.
You see? And that level of corruption within the system lead to the crime that we face in our country. I am not saying that the bus and taxi drivers are leading to crime. No, what I am saying, the level of corruption from the highest part in Jamaican politics, from King's House to Jamaica House to no house, corrupt. What can we, what is it that the people of the Jamaicans in the diaspora in London must continue sending their money back home and continue hearing the GG and the Minister of National Insecurity and Injustice and the Commissioner of Police and the Prime Minister saying that a 2030 vision to live and work and live and work where? Tell me now, Dr. Brown, is that the people must continue sending back money and hear the people who will put in the rims to protect us? They can't protect the nation, Mr. Brown. What happened in Halfway Tree last night? My God, barrage of gunshot. And last night again at some policeman wake. Me want to know if the hierarchy of the police allowed JSAF members, if it was them, to go to a policeman wake and some gunshot when me hear. Not even when they go on down Iran and Russia no go on, sir.
You know, well, as I said, Jamaica has a serious problem with illegal guns, and but also what we're also seeing, Jeffrey, quite worryingly, is that criminals with guns seem to have very little fear or respect for the police. And as you said, yeah, recently, even this week, there was a shooting incident where a police officer was fatally wounded in Trenchtown.
Yes.
So we have a situation where the country has a lot of illegal guns. Now the question is, how did that happen, right? And we know that historically from the 70s, when a lot of the violence was driven by political grievances and so on, that was the genesis of this influx of guns, and quite frankly, it's never stopped. So even though perhaps you can argue that these so-called garrisons and inner cities are no longer sort of focused on the sort of political enforcement, you know, and it's sort of moved into organized criminality. The reality is that the gun remains central to all of those issues. And I'm sure many people have looked into how Jamaicans get their hands on illegal guns. What is worrying is that we don't seem to have a solution to stop the influx of the guns. We've heard that guns are coming from Haiti. We've heard that guns are coming from other countries. The question is, why aren't we able to stop it? What partnerships or dialogue has the Jamaican government been having with the United States of America, for example, to help to quash this issue of illegal guns entering the country? The United States has a navy, you know, that regularly patrols the Caribbean. We have the ship rider agreement, you may remember,
yes,
which is meant to allow the Americans to pick up Jamaican nationals who they suspect of trafficking drugs. But where's the agreement to stop or limit the influx of illegal guns? Jamaica has a porous border. Clearly, our Coast Guard don't have the capability or capacity to patrol and stop the guns entering the country. So that's a big problem, the illegal guns.
The question must be asked, then maybe I shouldn't even ask this question on here. You know? The question must be asked though. there was a news clipping coming out of South Florida where the FBI and other people, I wish I had remembered, try and find the clip and make you see it, that guns are trafficking from South Florida to Haiti and other parts of the Caribbean, especially Jamaica. Now, if that is so, because it comes out of South Florida, wherein the FBI field office in South Florida, they were the one I think had the news conference. And if that is so, why is it the American government hasn't done anything at all to stem the illegal gun trafficking into Haiti? And the question I really want to ask, I can't ask it on here. You know, Haiti has been in turmoil for many years.
Many years, yes.
And the American government have been down there for many years. Why is it they can't put a stem on the criminality, the corruption, and the gang violence that's going on in Haiti?
Yeah, well, those are very important questions to answer because you know, we as neighbors to Haiti would want to see a peaceful Haiti. We'd want to see a Haiti that is politically stable. I'm not sure if one really understands the history of Haiti. I'm not convinced that United States is going to be the one to solve that problem. You could argue, based on historical facts, that United States has perhaps hindered the progress of Haiti and perhaps contributed to some of the political instability that Haiti currently experiences. But I think it's within the Caribbean community's interests to have a stable Haiti. And what I would love to see happen is that CARICOM and the heads of governments of Caribbean nations get more involved and proactive in what is happening in Haiti, so that we can have some stability there. But beyond that, we still have this gun issue. And I think your question is correct, Jeffrey, that, you know, and it goes back to what I was saying earlier. What is the American government doing to stem the flow of illegal guns, right? You know, no one can question the American sovereignty and their argument of, you know, the right to bear arms. But the challenge with that is if, because of this right to bear arms, you are now influencing violence in Jamaica, then we now need to look at that seriously. And the Americans now need to take responsibility for
in other words, you're saying you're looking at it seriously, that maybe the Prime Minister should table a bill in Parliament for the Jamaicans for the right to bear arms then. Because what is going on in our country, you know, the criminals are becoming a clear and present danger to the national security of the citizens of Jamaica.
Well, Jeffrey, that's not what I'm proposing. But
no, I know. I'm not one who said it. I'm the one who said it.
But what I would propose, Jeffrey, and what I've seen other countries do, including Mexico, is that they're suing gun manufacturers. And I believe perhaps Jamaica and the wider CARICOM could look at taking legal action against gun manufacturers in Jamaica. In America.
And in China too, because China make gun.
Well, so many countries manufacture guns for sure, but we know that a lot of the gun traffic comes from
America.
America, yes. It might not come directly from America, but eventually it gets to Jamaica.
Right.
These are American-made weapons. So I think one thing that the government could do is to
hold on for me, Dr. Brown. We're gonna take a quick commercial break here on Roots 96.1 FM. We're speaking to Dr. Kevin Brown, United Kingdom North representative of the Global and Jamaican Diaspora Council. We'll be right back on Roots 96.1 FM.
Salute. My Highland tongue salute.
Become the hero on the scene by taking the COVID vaccine.
Get vaccinated as soon as you get all the facts. Don't listen to the rumors. This vaccine might just make it possible for teachers to sit face to face with schoolers. This vaccine make it safer for everybody, from the young to the elderly. Don't you want to go back to living normally when things were more orderly? And if you want to live a long good life, then we all have to do what's right. So let's get vaccinated along with the heroes on the front line.
A message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
At MOJ, Ministry of Justice, come access quality service to keep order within the nation. We put together good legislation, legal aid to your pocket. A little is child diversion for you to need expertise. Victim service will help you cope with grief. Restorative justice, build back the peace. No matter where you come from, how we say justice for all Jamaicans. MOJ, Ministry of Justice, come access quality service.
MOJ, taking justice to the people of Jamaica.
Hi, I'm Sharon.
Hi, I'm Marcia.
I'm Adrian.
Join us this and every Wednesday morning for Extraordinary Abilities on Roots 96.1 FM. Join us for news, views, and interviews with extraordinary people. Extraordinary Abilities every Wednesday morning, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. on your extraordinary radio station, Roots 96.1 FM. It's gonna be fun, informative, and educational, but most of all, it will be extraordinary.
Backyard Magazine presents the Music Feel Reggae Show on Roots FM with Music Feel, DJ Sogi and SK. Every Wednesday, 5 p.m. till 6:30 p.m. This is the complete show where you get music updates, artist interviews and reviews. The Music Feel Reggae Show is brought to you by the legendary Backyard Magazine. Know your roots.
Welcome back to Make We Talk here on Roots 96.1 FM. We're speaking to Dr. Kevin Brown, United Nations North Representative Global Jamaican Diaspora Council, a son of the soil, a Jamaican who, when they come on, means word in chat, when you chat, he has a radio talk show in London. Is it in London or in Brexit?
It's in Nottingham on 97.5 Kemet FM radio.
Oh, in Nottingham. Nottingham. I've never been to London, but I have some family and friends of mine who lives over there too. Dr. Brown, the question must be asked of members within the diaspora. How do they feel about their country now? Every day you get up, you hear about the Rampton killing. And by the way, before I go any further about this, I am trying to find out something here. How is it that a man is under investigation on a murder case of the young lady who they strangled or killed her in a Montego Bay? She lived on by Waterloo Road. And how is it that the young man flee the island? Is it that the investigators or the members of the JCF did not alert Border Patrol and the immigration personnel at both Songses and Norman Manley and Ian Flemings and Negril A. Drome and all sorts of drone they have, because they have a lot of drone in this country, Is it that they did not alert them, or is it that Mr. so-called the gentleman, I won't call his name on the air, well, his name is in the paper, Pattison, is it that he's so well connected? Because I'm being told by some hierarchy members, that he's very well connected. And is it the first time he has done certain things? Anyway, the question must be asked of the JCF though. How is he allowed to leave the island just like that? Him flee, gone like a Sammy bird according to Mutty Perkins. Go ahead, Mr. Brown. Dr. Brown.
Yes. Well, Jeffrey, your original question was, how does the diaspora feel? I think the diaspora is very concerned about safety and criminality in Jamaica. I think we are saddened by what's happening, by the alarming, murder rate this year and in previous years. And I think we are also calling for action, calling for action with respect to policing and political leadership, but also, calling for Jamaicans, ordinary citizens, to change their approach to criminality as well. And so when we talk about things like corruption, we should refuse to participate in corrupt activities. When we know about criminals, we should report them to the police. But
hold on there, Dr. Brown. Report them to the police, and the police them say, "What tell?" Anyway, Jeffrey shut him out this morning, because listen to me, Dr. Brown. In London, you can do that, But in Jamaica, if you do that, dog near me, you and your family suffer.
Yeah, there are. I think this is where you need, change across at all levels, because you do need a professional police force, where witnesses are protected. You need a well-created framework for witness protection, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where witnesses feel that they can give evidence with the confidence that their identity will be protected. So you do need changes at all levels, and we've heard people who've been part of the witness protection program in Jamaica complain about some of its shortcomings, right? So we know there's lots of room for improvement there. And we also need to ensure that we are rooting out corruption in the police force. And that's something that the police commissioner has spoken about, in terms of identifying corrupt officers and removing them from the force. But I also want to say this, Jeffrey, that if you've been following the news in the United Kingdom recently, you will observe that the challenges that we see in the Jamaican police force around corruption and bad behavior of police officers is not unique to Jamaica. Right now, the Metropolitan Police Force in London is going through some serious, transformation, or attempts to transform itself, due to persistent issues around corruption and racism.
But Dr. Brown, Jamaicans will question and say to themselves, yes, the police force in London may be corrupt, but why the police force in Jamaica is so corrupt? They're underpaid. One policeman are going with 70,000. What the hell 70,000 I can do?
Well,
they are underpaid. One of them, Dr. Brown, they're underpaid, because we don't have enough time. I'm going to make you say it what you have to say. They're underpaid. And that is why it leads to the level of so much corrupt practice within the JCF. Go ahead, sir.
No, well, I mean, as you are aware, there's currently a review of civil servant salaries at the moment. That's ongoing. There's no, they haven't come to a conclusion on that. I'm hoping that, we will see salaries or remuneration packages that would, be befitting for the role that police officers play in society. I'd also,
Dr. Brown, you never hear one day, sorry for the cut here, but me have to ask the question here too. You never hear one day that there is negotiation going on with the 62 members of parliament, or with the JC, or with the hierarchy of the Jamaica Constabulary Force, the Commissioner of Police, Billy Dum Dum. But you're hearing a sort of the teachers' wage negotiation, the police wage negotiation, not to mention the poor, pauperizing fire service members, them who not get nothing. And all them do them be so high-rise building in this country, where the poor fire brigade personnel, they have no sitting there, no oxygen. So how is it not hearing about the 62 members of parliament? Listen to me, I am not saying that they're not going through certain things, because I've seen a report where members of parliament are even spending their own salary to help their constituency. And I'm not saying that they're not doing it, but the fact of the matter is, you never hear any wage negotiation for them. It's always the nurses, the doctors, and the police, the essential workers, them. What is going on, Dr. Brown? We don't have enough time. Go ahead, sir.
Yes, well, very, very quickly, Jeffrey. Clearly, in my opinion, nurses, doctors, firefighters, police officers, are so important to any society that their salaries should certainly be a living wage and even above. So I'm hoping that the current review will see salaries emerge that are befitting to the importance of these roles and what, because, if you ask me who's more important, a teacher or a politician, then clearly, it's a no-brainer that without teachers, you can't educate your society. Without police officers, you can't keep your society safe. And without firefighters, you can't tackle, fires that may emerge that will destroy property. These are key workers, and they should be paid properly. So I support any initiative to ensure that the salaries are improved, and I'm hoping that will be the case in the future. So I think Jeffrey, what we're saying is that we need development at all levels. I wanted to quickly touch on the situation that happened in Clifton community where we saw.
I was just going to ask about it. What is the views on the bulldozer down of poor people property and land? Anyway, Jeffrey, Dr. Brown, go ahead. Jeffrey, behave yourself this man. Go ahead, Dr. Brown.
Yeah, so this also goes back to part of the problem we have in Jamaica, where we don't enforce rules. But before I even talk about enforcing rules and in this case planning rules and laws, since emancipation, since so-called independence, which we don't have, we've had a situation with a problem with land and the distribution of land. Because I think people seem to forget that for 300 years under British colonial rule, the British came to Jamaica in 1655, turned the country into a plantation economy, imported our ancestors, kidnapped our ancestors, took them to Jamaica and for slave labor. During that whole time, we never owned any land, right? The land belonged to the British Crown or to plantation owners, white plantation owners. When emancipation came and then subsequent independence, we still came out of those key events with lots of people not having access to land. So over time, Jeffrey, and I'm just giving you a very fast track history lesson here. Over time, people started to capture land. People started to take land, and we've seen where communities have mushroomed. These so-called informal settlements have mushroomed.
But Dr. Brown, but these informal settlement is caused by politicians because they want more vote.
Yes,
and not only that, the government of the day gave the Chinese how much acres of prime lands where they could give to the poor people of this country. So no better barrel, no better herring, Dr. Brown. Go ahead, sir.
So there's no question that these informal settlements have been politicized. No question at all. But the reality is that these informal settlements have mushroomed across the country, right? And there was an attempt under the PJ Patterson government to regularize some of these settlements, and you had Operation Pride, which went into these communities.
Was a disaster too.
When you say, can you explain what you mean by that, Jeffrey?
There are certain things that can't step on here, Dr. Brown. Bush Avies, go ahead, sir.
Okay, but the ambition, Jeffrey. I mean, I'm not saying it was a perfect program, right? And I think you that's what you were trying to refer to there. It wasn't a perfect program, but the broad idea, right, was to go into these informal settlements, give them water, road, electricity, right? Access to basic social amenities, right? And that project was helpful for many communities, but it did not solve access to land, access to housing. And so the behavior of Jamaicans capturing land, whether it's government land or private land, continues to this date. And the challenge you
but
have...
politicians the capital land and in the center must do it, sir. How much acre land politician capital center must when they get it from nobody don't know. So if the poor pauperize them, they must capture it. Because politicians capturing land in this country.
But the thing is, Jeffrey, if we want to get to a stage where Jamaica is run by rules and laws, then certain activities cannot be allowed to persist. You know, as much as I'd like every Jamaican to have a home and have a piece of land, that would be my dream, and I'd love to see that. But it has to be done in a controlled manner, right? You can't just see a piece of land and start constructing a house on it. And, you know, Jeffrey, this got, you know, when I was a boy, when people capture land, they build like a wooden structure on it, right? These days, when people capture land, you know, it's a proper concrete home. And that's why I'm saying to you that Jamaica is a land of contradictions, because these are considered to be poor people building $1 million homes. And I'm not saying that they haven't worked hard to scratch together the money to build the homes, but they are building, you know, decent dwellings. You know, they're not building shacks. And I just think that things should be done properly. But again, what the situation pointed to in Clifton community, in Burnham Lodge, is that criminals had captured the land, it appears, allegedly, and were selling it to residents.
So, Dr. Brown, the principal is a part of a criminal gang then? Who then lock up?
It's an allegation. It's an allegation at this point, yes. Allegedly, that's the allegation against her, which is a real shame. It's a real shame.
So she's a part of a criminal gang?
No, well, there are allegations at the moment, Jeffrey. I don't know enough about that case to
No, but the Prime Minister, Dr. Brown, went into the people's house and said that they're criminals selling the lands. And the principal is a principal of a school in his constituency. So the Prime Minister of Jamaica needs to come and tell the people of Jamaica, if the principal that was caught selling lands illegally, is she a part of the Klansman gang that he talk about in Parliament? It's for another time, Dr. Brown. You have 2 minutes to just wrap up yourself, sir, because I have to say something before I go off here, because they won't kick me off of Roots FM, because I chat too much.
No, well, first of all, Jeffrey, thanks for inviting me on the show, you know, because this is a serious issue of concern to the diaspora the world over. And as I said, you know, we have the diaspora. One should accept that Jamaica is not just about those who live on the geographical space that are called Jamaica, but Jamaica is borderless, because Jamaicans live everywhere across the globe and have a strong connection to the country. We have friends, family there. We have investments. We want to see a crime-free Jamaica. We want to see a safer Jamaica where you can truly leave your door open at night and sleep comfortably. And we believe that it can be achieved, but it will take a huge effort, not just on the part of politicians, police officers, and other leadership groups in the country, but we, the citizens, also have to take a stand. We, the citizens, also have to help root out these criminals. We, the citizens, have to, you know, when there's corruption, we must resist the temptation to partake in it and also report it and stamp it out. So I think everyone has a role to play, and we need to look at our education curriculum and ensure that it's not just about teaching English and maths, but we have to now teach social skills to the next generation, so that, you know, hopefully these young people who will become the next leaders of the country will know how to resolve conflicts peacefully, will know what good citizenship means, will know how to engage in the political landscape of the country. And, you know, in times to come, Jeffrey, I believe that we will have a better Jamaica, because that's what everybody wants. And ultimately, linked to this, and we haven't really discussed it today, is that we need to see economic development. job creation, so that young people who are, whether, those going to high school or in university can graduate from these institutions and see opportunities right there in Jamaica rather than having to move overseas, as many of them have done. As you may know, Jeffrey, over 80% of Jamaicans who attend university in Jamaica leave Jamaica. So, there's a significant brain drain that is occurring there. And you saw that recently with the Minister of Health having to go overseas to ask members of the diaspora to come home to help out with some of the nursing shortages.
And that's a disgrace. That's a living disgrace. If you're paying the nurses and teachers properly in this country. Now, Dr. Brown, I'm going to make you go because I have to go to something else.
Yeah.
How on earth you not paying the nurses them properly? They leave to greener pastures. And you waste taxpayer money going to beg them to come back home? Listen to me, we're sick as hell in this country, Would you, Dr. Brown, you getting chippence halfpenny, and you go to America to get Farden and Pound and Benjamin and Franklin and Roosevelt to come back for Nanny, Norman and Shearer, who share we out? Answer the question, Dr. Brown. Would you come back to the country for that? Does the country love you? You love your come, the country love you?
Well, clearly, Jeffrey, there's a need to ensure that nurses are properly remunerated in Jamaica, and I'm hoping that is something that the government is looking into seriously. But remember also, Jeffrey, that doctors and nurses have said that it's not just about salaries, but ensuring that they are in an environment, whether there's a hospital or a clinic, that has the appropriate facilities and equipment, right? So it's one, there's an argument for better salaries, but there's also a need to ensure that our hospitals have all the equipment and services that will make it easier for nurses and doctors to operate.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kevin Brown, United Kingdom North representative of the Global Jamaican Diaspora Council. It took me an arm and a leg to get him on because I want him to come on in the evening. He said, no, at 12 o'clock at night, that. Dr. Brown, thank you very much for coming on, sir. Don't be a stranger to make we talk. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, bye-bye.
We're here talking to Dr. Kevin Brown. And, our country. There's so much corruption going on in this country. So much corruption. That is unbelievable. It's going to take a miracle, to turn this country around to where we want it to be for 2030 vision. Because I don't know what they're talking about. 2030 vision to walk away. It can happen if the Prime Minister of Jamaica, the Most Honorable Andrew Michael Holness, and the Governor General of Jamaica, His Excellency the Most Honorable Sir Patrick Linton Allen, and the Opposition Leader, the Honorable Mark Golding. If you all call for a national day of prayer and fasting for this country, if the people should turn from their ways and seek God, then they will hear from the God. They'll hear from God. I saw you go in.
Yes, sir.
How you go again? If my people are called by my name,
will humble himself and pray and seek his face and turn, then they will hear from heaven and he will heal.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness, turn, sir, turn. Jamaica need God. What the video that I saw came into me last night, it sends chill up my spine. What our country coming to? What is this nation coming to? I want to know what on earth this country coming to. Is it that we are becoming a set of barbaric set of people? I was talking to Owen and myself, good friend Dr. Primrose Forbes, Dr. Primrose Forbes, Lord of mercy. Pastor Primrose Forbes, if she ever hear me, last night. And she said to me, Jeffrey, people are praying in this country, you know. But it goes back down to one thing. If the politicians do not listen to the people, you can't listen to the people of the vum-va-van, the vum-va-veen. And them they put in there. It's the people of Riemann, Jungle, and Tivale. The people of Upper Lawrence Tavern. Who them not anointed up there? Because digital a smile. A smell. Only can give people their money and I give them internet service. Only see the level of corruption going on in this country. We need to pray. We need to pray and ask God to heal this country. Jamaica is in a crisis, whether we like it, yes or no. We're knocking behind Haiti's back door. Jamaica is in some serious crisis. The level of corruption, the level of criminality in this country, it's appalling. How can we continue like this as a nation? And I'm not saying that the Prime Minister not trying. I am not saying that not trying, you know. I may go on bad with him sometime. But the Prime Minister is trying. But the time has come, Prime Minister Andrew Michael Holness. You need, sir, to call on the grassroots church, not the church of the Vumvava and the Vumvavi. The churches call on Pastor Christopher Taylor of the Mount Faith Baptist Church. Call on Kenton Palmer. Call on Primrose Forbes. Call on Sister Tem. Call on Pastor James or Pastor Smith from in Clarendon, a powerful woman of God. Call on pastors overseas. Call on Dr. Paulette Anaki Thompson. Call on Owen Brown. Because I don't see him in the studio there. Nobody can pray and preach like him. We need prayer in this country. Jamaica need help. Jamaica need help. Help. We need help in this country. And the time has come for us to come together, go on some fasting and prayer for this nation. Before I go this evening at 6 o'clock Jamaica time, 7 o'clock US time, I'll be having Wilfred Radigan, former FBI agent, David Mohammed, representative of the Chamber of the representative of the Nation of Islam, Herb Nelson Jr., Dudley Thompson, Jackie Ford Henry. We're going to speak about Haiti's crime problem and is Jamaica knocking behind Haiti's back door. Join us this evening at 6 o'clock Jamaica time on the Make We Talk Jeffrey Tavares YouTube channel. It is now 12 o'clock in Kingston, Jamaica, 1 o'clock somewhere in the United States. I am Jeffrey Tavares saying so long until you hear my voice again. May God bless you, and for God's sake, let us pray for this country of ours. Join me this evening on my YouTube channel for another discussion on Jamaica's crime pandemic and Haiti's crime pandemic. Is Jamaica knocking behind Haiti's back door? I'm Jeffrey Tavares, returning to the studios of Roots 96.1 FM. Owen Brown?
Sell out, please don't sell out. My Highland, don't sell out. Remember your teachers, them now. Remember your nurses, them now. Remember your doctors, them now.